I desperately need to go over Apple CarPlay right now and address all of the questions I get on a daily basis about whether your car stereo has Apple CarPlay, whether you have to do it with a USB connection, or whether you can do it wirelessly. We get a shocking amount of questions every single week from people who either have factory car stereos without Apple CarPlay or aftermarket car stereos without Apple CarPlay, and yet they still ask if they have Apple CarPlay. No, your stereo does not have Apple CarPlay if you didn't have it when you bought it. You would know. Apple CarPlay is a built-in feature on specifically Apple CarPlay stereos. It's not just a feature you can add to any stereo just because you have a screen, and it's not an app that you can download. You would know when you bought the stereo if it had Apple CarPlay. It would be the main feature of the stereo. Every time you would plug your iPhone into the stereo, Apple CarPlay would pop up if you had it. Let me get this straight. So the car stereo that you've been using for the last 4 years, which you know does not have Apple CarPlay, you think it just magically has it now? This is kind of like if you call Domino's and order a pepperoni pizza, it gets delivered to your mother's basement, and you're eating the pepperoni pizza, and then you just call Domino's back and you're like, hey, Domino's, does this pizza have mushrooms on it? I don't know. Did you order mushrooms? Take a look at your pizza. Does it have mushrooms? No. You ordered a pepperoni pizza. It doesn't magically have mushrooms, does it? You would know if your pizza had mushrooms on it. Just like you would know if your stereo had Apple CarPlay, guys. Come on. Use your big brains. Hopefully you can figure this out on your own. I mean, if you're asking whether or not your car stereo has Apple CarPlay, chances are you don't have it. The only way to get it is to upgrade. Thanks to the recent iOS 12 update on iPhones last year, Google Maps and Waze now work with all Apple CarPlay stereos. Now let's get into wireless Apple CarPlay. Another super common question we get is these people who have Apple CarPlay stereos. So they bought like a Pioneer AVH 4200X or a DDNX 575, something like that. Your stereo already has CarPlay on it, Android Auto probably. Now, just because you bought a stereo in the past that has Apple CarPlay does not mean you can do it wirelessly. About 98% of stereos with Apple CarPlay, you need to use it with a USB connection. You have to plug your smartphone in. Very few stereos can do this. You would know when you purchased it. It'd be the main feature, main selling point, wireless Apple CarPlay. The Pioneer W Next series can do it, and Alpines like the Alpine ILX 107 can do it. Again, just because you have Apple CarPlay does not mean you can do it wirelessly. If you don't have a W Next model or the Alpine models, you can't do it, all right? You have to use the USB connection. It's not an update you can add to your older Apple CarPlay stereo. It's kind of like if you bought an HD TV from Best Buy and you're just home watching Sweet Life of Zach and Cody, and you call Best Buy up on the phone and be like, hey, does my TV do 4K? No. Did you buy a 4K TV? No. You bought an HD TV. Did you buy a wireless Apple CarPlay stereo? No, you bought an Apple CarPlay stereo. There's a difference. I feel like Colin Coward right now with all these analogies. Chances are, if you have an Apple CarPlay stereo, you have to use a USB connection. Below, I put links to our videos on wireless Apple CarPlay stereos, the Pioneer Next W series. So check that out in the video bio below. And again, you cannot add wireless to an old Apple CarPlay stereo, okay? Just like your car stereo has Apple CarPlay or doesn't have Apple CarPlay, it either has wireless CarPlay or it doesn't have wireless CarPlay. If you're confused about the capabilities of your car stereo, factory or aftermarket, just go ahead and use that big monkey brain of yours, hop on google.com, it's a very popular search engine used today, and just type in your product number of your stereo. Find a product page of your stereo, just look at the information, look at the specs. If you see Apple CarPlay, you have Apple CarPlay. If you don't see Apple CarPlay, you don't have Apple CarPlay. If you see wireless Apple CarPlay, you have wireless Apple CarPlay. It's pretty easy, guys. And if you're looking for wool socks, you're on the wrong page. All right, everybody, thanks for watching. Be sure to go to qualitymobilevideo.com to get all of your car audio and video gear with us today. Links for wireless Apple CarPlay stereos below. Like the video if you enjoyed it, dislike it if you hate it, subscribe to the channel if you're new to our content, leave a comment below and join the conversation, and say hello to your mother for me.